Hello everybody, Ghostblade 1062 here with another rolling stock review. Today we will be looking at a Rivarossi 3-pack of Falls 401.5 self-unloading dump cars in the AWT Gray scheme. And now, on to the unboxing. Alright, taking a look at the box, we have the Rivarossi logo in the top left corner here. And then we have this big clear plastic front window that gives us a peek at the cars. The left side, bottom, and top all only have the logo of Rivarossi. However, the right side does have some product information. Here we have the product barcode as well as the product ID, this being HR6590. It is an AWT 3-pack of self-unloading dump cars of the typing Falls 401.5 in the gray AWT scheme, era 6, meaning 2007 to present. And then on the back of the box, we have the Hornby helpline, as well as their numbers based on your area, the Rivarossi website, and address. And now, opening the box up, we have our 3 jewel cases here, which have much of the same information, except here we see the breakdowns of each of the cars' IDs as well. So they all start with the HR6590, and then we got -1, -2, and -3. And here we also have the road numbers of the individual cars. So we have 33, 54, 66, 87, 108-4. Then we have 33, 54, 66, 87, 102-7. And finally 33, 54, 66, 81, 345-8. So each car has a different road number. And taking the jewel cases out, we see pretty much all the same information on the jewel cases as we did on the actual main box. So now they open right up. And included, we do have these optional separate hooks that can be applied. These are used for if the car ever has to be lifted back onto the track. And here we have the first car, this being 3354 6681 345-8. Car number 2. This one being 3354 6687 108-4. And onto the final car. This one being 33546687-102-7. And with that, we can now move on to the next part of the video. Alright, time to take a closer look at these cars. Now normally, with cars that have separately applied pieces, I would take some time before the detail overview to attach them. However, upon taking a closer look at these cars, and as there is no instructions on where to attach the hooks for the crane, I did find them on the underside here, right by the trucks. So I have chosen not to attach these hooks as they would actually end up fouling the trucks. Now, if I were to have these cars sitting stationary, I wouldn't have a problem attaching them. But starting at the back of car 33546687-102-7, starting at the back of the car here, we have our buffer beam with a walkway just on top of it. We have our separately fitted plastic handrail here, along with a separately fitted brake wheel. Then going along the bottom here, we have the mechanism that opens the side doors on either side in tandem. We also have our ladder going up to the top of the car with separately fitted handrail grab irons here. As well as we have some writing here, which is legible. I just can't get a clear shot of it. Now moving on to the side of the car here, we have our road number, as well as our reporting marks, this being CZ-AWT. It is a Falls 401.5 type car. Here we have our capacity information for the car. We have some very nicely detailed trucks too, nice suspension detailing, as well as brake detail with brake shoes on the outside edges of the axles, as well as the inside. Then here we have our release levers. And going up towards the top middle, we see the mechanism detailing for the side doors, dump doors. Here we have the AWT logo just past that. With contact information for AWT at the far end of the car. Now moving on to the other end, we don't have the walkway above the buffer beam. We do have just the one step here on the left side though. And again, we have our mechanism for opening and closing the car. And then we see much of the same detailing on this side as well. On the underside of the car, we have some nice brake line detailing as well as frame detailing here. We have our compressor here as well as our air reservoir. And then we also see that the couplers are sitting in NEM shafts, making for very easy switching out of the couplers. And looking into the top of the car, we have some nice interior detailing with ribbing on the inside to support the body of the car. We have our cross sections, which are perforated to allow coal to go through, or whatever other product might be being hauled in this car, such as gravel. We can also see that we have our two separate bunkers, which are again have a angled divider going down the middle to enable for the flow out of the car. Then we have car 33546687-108-4. And aside from the road number, we have pretty much all of the same well, not pretty much, we have all of the same detailing. And then finally, car 3354-6681-345-8. And this one here, or this center support is actually a bit warped and broken out, which I will have to fix. The other one is also warped slightly, but aside from that, all the same detailing aside from the road number. And next, we can move on to the rip track segment of the video. Alright, time for the rip track segment of this video. Here, I will be verifying the wheel gauge of the 4 cars. As I am currently out of KD number 18 couplers, I will, however, not be doing a coupler swap and height gauge check at this point in time. So, starting with car 3354-6687-102-7 with the front truck and both axles are engaged, though the second axle is on the tight side. Now for the rear truck, both axles are also engaged. This is one of the reasons why I prefer the KD cup, the knuckle couplers, as the European style looped couplers can be a pain to detach from each other. Now, on to car 3354-6687 108-4. Starting with the front truck. Both axles are engaged. Now on the rear truck, both axles are also engaged. And onto the final car, car 33546681-345-8. The front truck, both axles are engaged, and on the rear truck, both axles are also engaged. And I did miss it during my detail overview, but we have some more grab irons here on the sides of the steps on either side of the car to help climb on, as well as we have a separately fitted grab iron just above the step here on the head end of the car. And this applies to all three cars as well. And I have also gone and glued the piece that broke off during the detail overview and let it dry on. So now we can take the cars over to the track for a test run as part of a train. Alright everybody, this concludes my review of the Rivarossi AWT Falls 4.1.5 self-unloading dump cars. They are a very nicely detailed car. They run very smoothly. But there are a couple of things that I wasn't too much of a fan of. One being the distance between the cars with the factory couplers, as they do stand apart quite a bit, even in comparison to the factory couplers of other manufacturers like Pico and Rocco. And then there was the warped center supports and the one that broke off in the one car, which I had to fix. But aside from that, they were very nicely detailed. They ran smoothly. So they are a nice addition to the collection, and I will be able to make fairly good use of them with my future plans. That being said, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like or a comment, and subscribe for more model railroad content. Have a great day, everybody!